What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Facebook Live with Johnny Moses and myself.
Hello, everybody.
We are here today to share some insight about remaining in alignment, remaining in tune with your body, and alternative ways to help heal. For many of you, you're on my Facebook page with the Shakti Wellness and Yoga. So for those that do log in and join us, thank you. And for those that come back and look at the video recording, we welcome you. If there's any questions you have, you still have the ability to contact Johnny and myself if you have any questions. So basically, I just tell a little bit overview about myself, and then I'll let Johnny introduce himself. But I am Asha Sims with the Shakti Wellness and Yoga, and a lot of the work I do, I am a licensed clinician, a holistic wellness practitioner, and with that, I provide an integrated approach of treatment to deal with trauma and wellness, combining the mental health side, the physical side, the spiritual side, and becoming more whole to heal. A lot of my work I do with energy work, working with the chakra systems, and helping to process any blockages that we have in our bodies due to past traumas, or just different life day-to-day situations that may occur, and we don't realize how we're actually holding it in our bodies. I'm gonna let Johnny tell you a little bit about himself and his business, and then of course I have a wonderful testimonial that I have to share from my experiences of working with Johnny as well. So Johnny, let them know who you are.
Hello, everybody. Who's that, Gabrielle? Hi, Gabrielle.
Hey, Gabby.
My name is Johnny Moses, owner of Health Wellness. I am a neurological practitioner, a posture neurologist, posture expert, relaxation therapist. So I take people through specific evaluations from the posture setting, from a movement screen evaluation, and from a neurological setting to uncover more so root causes to musculoskeletal and neurological imbalances. So many of the things that we go through as far as pain, stress, specifically where they come from, the roots of those problems, try to figure out as deep as we can where they come from. So that's everything pretty much in a nutshell. I'm going to give consultations for people who are interested in coming in. So,
well, I just have to say on top of that, I'm excited that I have come across another tribe member that understands my language, and being able to work with him and us working conjointly together with the clients that we serve. One of the things that with Johnny's approach that I know that helped me is that I always teach others about how we hold emotions in our bodies and how we store toxic emotions, and never realizing how it begins to affect us physically until our bodies start giving us the warning signs with the aches, the pains, the inflammation. And so I recently, as anything that I do promote or do for myself, I always want to experience it before I promote it to any of my clients to actually take a part of. So I just kind of have to share my experience, hey Janelle, of what occurred when I went to see Johnny Moses, which was another part of my unveiling of layers of healing that I didn't realize that I needed to do. So I always say the healer often is the student, or the teacher is often the student as well, and the healer is always healing. So I went to Johnny to have to go check out what Johnny do. I had heard all this good work about Johnny Moses and the work and how he gets to the root of the issue. So in my assessment, in his skill set of how he used the process of elimination to find out what's going on, I went in asking about an issue with my hip and my knee on the right side. And from that and from his assessments, it was narrowed down that a lot of my issues are also relating back to my gallbladder. And when he told me that the gallbladder stores anger and fury, of course, automatically I wanted to go into denial. I was like, I'm not angry. I don't have fear. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm zenned out. That's not me. And so a lot of that, of course, when we hear things we don't understand, we kind of file it in the back of our mind and, kind of process on it. So from that first time when he mentioned that and was explaining a lot that was going on, I had to go back and really, really analyze. And of course, he even broke it down even further. He even said they went back to some childhood issues of times where I didn't feel heard and wasn't able to express myself and not feeling supported. So of course I had to go back and address certain childhood situations that I had dealt with and felt the same way. And then over the course of the time, it was other things that slowly started unraveling themselves that I thought was suppressed, or I would say in somewhat a form of denial. And so from there, I started looking at myself in the process of healing. Sometimes we have to look at our own personal accountability of things. And so from that point, I realized it was some things that from my past that I had not healed from a past emotionally abusive relationship. And I had to look at that in that aspect of that relationship. I never expressed any anger. I never expressed any fury or rage, even though it was a very a high, strong emotional divorce. And so once I realized all that time period that I never expressed anger because of how I was raised and how in our family, we didn't show anger. We didn't show rage. That was not what we do. We keep ourselves calm, cool, and collect. And so I realized with all that repression, I am storing all that anger. It's just going to another part. Even though it's not verbally or physically being exerted, it found a place in my body to remain dormant until it was enough. And so upon that release, I realized how much anger that I had stored up. And it was a very positive release. And there's still more work that has to be done in coming back to Johnny and assisting to now my body, the areas that were affected by the tension, the tightness, the lack of flexibility in certain areas should now be focused on to help continue releasing that. So I just wanted to express how important it is in identifying our root cause of issues. And I don't know, Johnny may want to explain a little more how he even got to the gallbladder. I mean, because it was very amazing just on certain questions and tapping and touching on the body, how a lot of that was revealed. If you kind of tell us your magic.
Well, our body, it has what we call everybody pretty much knows, a neurological system. So our neurological system is kind of like our blueprint and map out of everything that has happened in our life. So when you think about different types of pain and stress that we go through, the highest order, from what I've seen, seems to be emotional responses and how we are emotionally charged to different events and different traumas that's happened in our life. And that affects the body from a neurological state because the brain wants to remember these incidents because it wants to protect you from having to go through them again. So it will store that energy into a particular organ as a reminder to know what that experience felt like so you can avoid experiencing that again. So from that, from the organ standpoint, then we have what is called the extracellular matrix. And so that involves the connection between the organs and the muscles. So then when you have an organ that is imbalanced, heightened and charged, or has a less level of charge, then you have various muscles that are connected with it that begin to shut down and become weak, or heighten and become overactivated and tight. So from that can rotate your body, rotate your posture into alignment, and put pressure onto certain areas, certain joints and ligaments. And then that causes the inflammation and pain. So then that causes the stress response and changes up your reception or perception for how you perceive different types of events and things that are happening to you. So everything kind of works as a basic circle. Everything comes around to meet each other. There's people come in for a knee pain or a hip pain and different things like that, and they're surprised how the suppressed emotions are affecting their body so much. So,
and I think that's so important because in my work and working with trauma, many of us, I've realized we don't even realize that we've been traumatized. Many of us walk around, don't even understand truly what trauma is, the different types of trauma. Whether it's genetic or intergenerational trauma that we may be dealing with. I mean, and that's another thing we talked about, that some of us are actually dealing with traumas from our parents that is stored in our DNA structure. So we're working through our own stuff, but a lot of the healing and the purging and the things that we're going through now is not just our traumas, it's past generation, ancestral traumas that we are working out as well. And we always don't realize how important the body is and the signs that our body gives us, or the warning signs when things are out of whack. I know even talking with Johnny, I always ask about, because my approach is in working with a lot of the things on the mental health side, I see the connection to the body on how the mind or the past trauma or the emotions that are trapped. We're talking about he's even able to identify the root cause of certain illnesses like Crohn's, like irritable bowel syndrome, like any other type of autoimmune illnesses that you're having. And so what is amazing with the work that Johnny does, some of the same things you go to the hospital to get these full examinations, he's able to do. He's able to go through all your different systems in the body to determine what areas may not be activated or charged appropriately. And to me, it's more costly. It's more cost effective because he's going to the root instead of trial and error, in which a lot of different Western approaches of healing are. We give you this med to see if this reduces the symptoms, and it's trial and error. And so I think with this approach, you're learning more connecting with your body, because for me, it gave me a whole different appreciation on how I process my emotions, to think for all these years or this time period. I'm just blessed that it didn't get to the point that I had to have an emergency surgery or gallstones before I realized. So I think this is more important for everybody to understand the impact of your thoughts and how it affects, because, every thought in our brain has nerve endings that go to every part of our body. So depending on our mindset, that energy is going to shoot somewhere into your body. And if you do not know to appropriately allow the energy to flow, it can cause blockages in your chakras and affect you overall mentally, physically, and spiritually, where sometimes you just feel stuck in life, I would say. What would you say is some of the main things that you see with the clients that you have come in that you're seeing now? Or what is it that we're not doing to help us remain in a more balanced state?
Well, the main thing that I talk about always is posture, body alignment. So pretty much everybody who comes in that has any type of pain, stress, you can look at the alignment of the body and see that it's off. Mostly everybody is right-handed, so it's a right-hand dominated world, so people tend to lean to the right more than they do to the left. That puts impingements on the right hip, right shoulder. And so that puts a lot of pressure onto that right side. Eventually, people sprain the ankle, tear the ACL or something onto that right knee. So then they'll begin to take pressure off of that right side of their body. And then eventually they'll shift their body and lean to that left side. So by the time people come into my office, they are already on that left side of their body. They're feeling extreme numbness from their butt all the way down to the heel of their foot. And so they're feeling like that left leg is the problem. If I can only get this left leg corrected, then that will answer everything to my questions. And then they come into my office and see that the left leg has nothing to do with what's going on with you. It's the right leg that's the problem. And then typically that right leg or the right hip tightness is coming from the right shoulder. So we're leaning our body to the right side, and then we're trying to pull it back to the opposite side. And so from that, we create miscommunicated signals between our brain and spine. So the brain is trying to get you to do one thing, and your body is trying to command it, but you as the individual are sending opposing signals to the body to let it know that you're not listening to the commands that they're doing. So then that, just like if you have a wife or a husband and they say one thing and you say another thing, eventually that communication is going to turn into arguments and stress, and so conflicts arise. So it's the same thing that happens in your body. If you're not on the same page, miscommunicated signals will come. And then pain and stress is your body's natural response to allow you to know that there's a problem going on somewhere else. And that area is being affected by the pain or by the lack of stimulation or overstimulation into that particular area.
So explain a little more. I know I had some clients that came to see you, and this is even more. I love how me and Johnny can work together because, and working with some of my clients that have had past trauma, I've had some clients that don't have memory of what has taken place during that time period. So even in some of the work I'm doing, even with some of the hypnosis, it's kind of hard to sometimes retrieve repressed memories if we don't even have a starting point to even try to bring forth. Some people have certain time periods that is totally blank. They have no memories, which is your body's way of protecting you. That you're not able to have memories, because a lot of times with trauma, it's not the fact that we are being re-traumatized, is that our bodies have the memory of the trauma. And so we continue to relive that trauma, and our body is feeling it each time we have that thought. So in order not to always have your body in that state, the memories are suppressed or repressed. Tell us how you can work to help, because I've had some clients that came back with remarkable outcomes of repressed memories, and from the work that you did, they realized you were able to pinpoint exactly when the trauma took place, the age, and everything. Explain how that works.
Well, as I said, your body has the neurological system tracks everything that goes on within the body. So just as you were saying, the body, it wants to survive. So that survival is what we are here for. And so whatever is necessary for us to survive, that's what the body is going to do. So if we have a traumatic experience and that energy goes in, just like how we talked about with you with the gallbladder. So through that creates the rage, the fury, the wrath, and different types of things like that. So once you begin to overactivate and overstimulate that area, then that recruits other muscles. So now other muscles become recruited from that. So that overactivation and tightness kind of slumps our body into an incorrect posture. And so now we have misalignment through our body, misalignment through our joints. So that causes the stress. Once the stress comes in, now our perceptions are changed. So what we perceive to be a certain type of stress might be heightened for us, but it's relaxed for somebody else because they're not perceiving that level of stress to that level, basically. But when it comes to anything with any types of organs and any types of systems, each organ has its protected line of energy. So if you look at people with lung issues, things like that, those are people who have perceived threats. So anybody who might throw a ball, like I've had certain clients to where you can throw a ball or act like you're throwing the ball at them. The first thing that they do is jump back, or they're not able to go in something because everything is a question. Well, what if we do this? Or what if this happens? Or what if this happens? So that's a person who has a problem, a lot of energy stored within their lungs. And so everything is a threat to them. And so if you do certain breathing treatments and breathing techniques with them, where you're teaching them how to intake oxygen within both sides of their lungs. So you might have one side that is not getting proper stimulation in. So once you allow their body to see the correct ways to doing things right, then that kind of relaxes the symptom or relaxes the systems. And so once the systems are relaxed, then the perception of what's going on around you changes. So now I can throw that ball at somebody and they will know to catch it because their neurological systems won't heighten up their body and heighten up that sympathetic state.
And so, an understanding where they're heightened, you're able to use process elimination in your assessment to determine when that trauma may have occurred.
Oh, absolutely. Because as I said, your body keeps record of everything. And so as long as you are able to ask the correct questions, that's the main thing about any of my work. It's not really about the super treatments or anything. It's more so just being able to ask the correct questions. Once you know which organs are linked with which muscles, which systems are linked with which, then you can easily go through an individual and see what's going on within their body. So I can hear people talking, and what's the way they're expressing things can allow me to know which organs are affected. And then on top of that, I'm also observing their posture. So I'm seeing this shoulder is hiked up and leaning to one side. So I know that certain organs are related to specific areas. So once I know and I see and I hear, I look at my questionnaire that I give them, and it breaks down specific things that they've gone through in their life. You can kind of start to build up your own notes and firepower on how you're going to work with them. So with all of the things that I've developed and seen from them, I'm able to ask specific questions. So a lot of times I feel like I'm confident in knowing where the problem is coming from, but sometimes I don't. And sometimes I think it's in one place and I'll check the body and ask it and it'll be completely wrong. And so if we would have listened to me, we would have been working on that area. We would have been trying to retrain that area back to a normal neurological state. Then we would have did the same neurological tests and found out that there was really no effect on there. So your body has the capabilities of guiding an individual or seeing where there is a heightened charge at within a particular area. So once you are able to see that and you're able to get the blueprints of this is where the problem has came from, then the treatment and the recovery process is easy because it's now laid out for you. And so once you hit it from a level of the root cause, then everything that was a symptom as a result to that will now kind of fall back in place. So then just a normal retraining process of how to allow your body to know what proper movement is, what proper posture is, which muscles should be activating at a particular time. Once your body understands that, again, then that's what's called neuroplasticity, to where your brain reconnects and retrains its thoughts to know what type of movement patterns are needed.
And I think that is so important because in the work I do with some of the clients as well, with addressing the energy centers and how people, like you said, hold their bodies depending on where they have stored emotions or those areas that may not be up to par in energy. Because even like with some of my clients that deal with a lot of work with forgiveness and grief, being that that's the heart chakra, they tend to stay humped over. Like really, if they could just turn into a ball and just disappear from the world, that they would. So I would have them stand up tall and open in that heart chakra. And it's really amazing how some can't do that because it makes them feel vulnerable. So it goes back to those sort of emotions that they have in their body. When you take them out of that conditioned body response that the body holds it in,
Right.
It is going to cause a healing aspect of things, but it can also cause an emotional breakthrough. Because if you have a body position that for protection, and then you're taken out of your comfort, those emotions that you've kept trapped by that body form is now being exposed, so it's going to be released, and you can have a rush of emotions come through because you just by changing your body posture can also change the function of your body, your organs, and also your how you think as well because of the program. And that's why I said people take time to really pay attention to your body stance. You know, really look in the mirror and analyze. You know, when you stand, is one shoulder higher than the other? Because many of us, we're carrying book bags, pocketbook lady with the pocketbooks, and we don't even realize that one shoulder may be higher than the other. And that's how I even got to the point. I knew I was going to come for this life-changing release from my gallbladder. I just wanted to know why my right hip was not open, and I tend to drag my right foot. The heel on my right shoes always wear down. So just from that one assessment that I was coming to ask about that and my knee issue, it related back to my gallbladder. So I think it's just, you know, really amazing how it all ties in, even more when we talk about energy. And I always like to bring this up because we never understand how energy affects us. We talk about energy level fatigueness and our chi and getting our energy level. I wanted to enforce also how the work that we're doing with energy can help those, even me and Johnny talk a lot about relationships and couples, and even as we're understanding our own bodies and how the energy, that is a whole nother factor when we add it to the fact of exchanging energy even with another human being in relationships. If we don't understand our own electromagnetic force and how we're dealing with emotions, it's kind of really hard to bond with another individual and their whole energetic and maybe trapped emotions that they have in their aura. So a lot of times we have to understand that when we are merging our auras together, you're mixing a lot of emotions in this energy bubble of exchange. So you have to have some awareness of yourself to even know how to even interact energetically with other people and how it affects your body. And even from the aspect we were talking, a lot of the work that I do in the community with women, and I always talk about the issues with intimacy. Even having happy, intimate, and sexual relationships, a lot of women are dealing with the issues of enjoying sex but not actually having orgasms. So when me and Johnny were talking about this issue, and how with women is dealing with the sacral chakra of, you know, honoring our feelings, releasing the shame and things of that nature, is when he brought up a good point about the men. Because I hear that women on this side talking about lack of satisfaction, endurance, or ability to sustain. And Johnny kind of broke it down to me as we talk about the root chakra, the sense of survival and what men have to go through on that can cause impotence in the men. So if you could elaborate on that, because I always talk to the women about the blockages, but we never really address that with men and some of the things that they're going through, and don't realize too with the men, it's some mental things, but maybe trapped emotions they have. And you broke down something that was very important that I never thought about.
Well, anytime we have like any type of self-devaluation, remorse, jealousy, different types of things like that, from a male perspective, just me being a man, that gets within our systems. And so anything that you talk about with posture and body alignment, cutting off your systems, cutting off the communication between your bodies. So having the hips rotated forward, just like how you're talking about with women with purses, men a lot wear wallets in their back pockets. So that tends to hike one hip up. That tends to impinge certain areas within our systems. Not getting that circulation going through our bodies, going through our systems, that creates a lack of stimulation within. So when we have that, when it comes to men, everything is about perception. That's how I look at it. Anything that we see that we get angry with is a perception coming in from our body and placed off of where that energy comes in. So to have that is just, it's really hard to, each person is different. And that's the main thing. So each person, they have specific ailments that's going on within their body, specific things that they dealt with as a traumatized child. And just like how you said, transgenerational trauma is one of the strongest things that I've seen as well. So having all of this stress and trauma, depending on what it is that you're going through in life, that really makes up those situations there.
So understanding that is so key, because we hold energy. So I always say that, because for male or females, we have to understand it's keeping that flow of energy flowing, even for the females that are having issues with fertility issues. It's a matter of being able to analyze areas that are blocked on why the egg is not able to conceive. Is there enough energy or charge even getting to that area to even conceive a child? And some of that can even come from trapped emotions that is even blocking that for the energy to go there to produce life or for creation to actually begin. And even for the men, like I said, we're even talking about African American males. We talk about the root chakra is about survival, your basic needs being met, and the prostate organ is in the root chakra area. So when we think about the high occurrence of black males with prostate issues, it kind of makes sense, because you're always in this state of fear or survival and being able to maintain. So understanding how that energy can become blocked and stored in that area, it's easier to understand why we're dealing with certain ailments and issues. And even with that, we have to look at the generational ancestral history of trauma and how it's still affecting us. And a lot of black males are always feeling they have to survive or feel their livelihood is being threatened. So therefore, it's causing more issues in those areas because of that as well. Another thing Johnny brought up that I think is very interesting that we must be aware of, not only ourselves, but even for our children, because we are now being brought up in an electronic age. for us as adults, it is so common for many of us to be in a room and you have a whole room and people's heads are down, looking at their phones. We have the kids that are on the tablets a lot. Go into some details as far as what that is doing to our bodies, and not just our bodies, but our processing skills mentally.
Well, there is a term that's out now. It's called digital dementia. And so digital dementia is sitting in front of a technological device for long hours with slouched posture. And so from that, you develop signs and symptoms. I know, right? That's the first thing people always do. But you develop signs and symptoms of dementia. So the cognitive responses, the short-term memory losses, shuffling of the feet, slouch posture. These are things that 70, 80-year-old goes through with dementia. But now these same symptoms are coming within our 7 and 8-year-old children. And that's because they're sitting in front of these technological devices for long hours with the slouch posture. And so you have certain forms of your neurological system, which are your motor, your sensory, your cerebellum, your PMRF, your visual and vestibular systems. So all of those have a right and a left side, and they all need to be stimulated just like how we work out and exercise. So when you don't give your brain that proper stimulation, then you begin to shut down specific areas of your brain. So from us sitting in front of a technological device for so long, we're bombarding our visual system. So our visual system is becoming overstimulated, and it's becoming overstimulated by inorganic blue light. So the blue light setting that we have on our tablets, on our computers, on our cell phones is basically overcharging our visual system. And from that overcharge, that offsets our circadian rhythms in many cases, to the point to where individuals, their bodies are feeling like it's daytime when it's really nighttime. And during the daytime, you're yawning. During the nighttime, as I said, you're always up, not able to go to sleep. And so a lot of this is coming from electromagnetic fields, our Wi-Fi's, all of these different types of things, microwaves, so many different types of things that has that high form of electromagnetic field. And so that begins to cut off certain systems within your body, and these areas are not getting stimulated. And so when we don't get proper stimulation in between our brain and spine, then that communication is lacking. And when the communication is lacking, you're not able to send proper communicated signals down into specific areas. So when you're thinking about moving, you send that command, but that command might not go into that particular area. It's almost like a 40, 50-year-old man who used to be able to play basketball and can dunk real good, and his brain is telling him, okay, I'm going to go up and try this dunk again. But then his body is like, no, you're not going to do that. Not this year. So there's certain things that you have to do. So the communication within your systems is inaccurate. And so from that, again, that's where the stress comes into play. So if you're not able to create that proper command to your body, and over time, it's going to create stress within. So just like how everybody sees other people stressed, their bodies are going through even more stress in particular areas. And that stress is being housed within a particular area of their body. So that's where I come into play, is I find those areas of overcharged systems and just release that stress. And then once you release the energy from that area, then you will see the body from a sympathetic fight or flight state now turns into a parasympathetic state, to where it just wants to relax. And excuse me, now the interpretations are much more clear. So everything that you are seeing from the visual standpoint, now you can interpret that clearly, as opposed to having that a response from a stress state.
It's a lot of information I know we're presenting to you in a short time period that can kind of overwhelm your mind. But at the end of the day, I just want you to understand that at this point in time that we're in now within our healthcare system, we have to also look at alternative ways to heal within the healthcare. I think a lot of the stuff that between Johnny's business and my business, what we're doing is really wanting to put the healing back in your hands and not be dependent on everybody else to tell you what's wrong. You are the master of your body. if you're connected and more aligned with your body, you know when you're out of alignment. What me and Johnny are offering you is another awareness of your body. It's not to tell you how or what to do in some aspect, but to reconnect you to your body so you can actually tell us how we can help you as well. So with you having a better understanding of the things that you're doing, I think my approach and a little bit of Johnny's approach is we want to release working with the victim. We want to put you back in the power, and getting back in the power of self is reclaiming self and allowing your body to be aligned to heal in an appropriate way. Because a lot of the approaches that we get now, if you were to go to a doctor, if I would have gone to the hospital with any symptoms that I would have, and believe me, the first response probably would have been, let's remove your gallbladder. And at that point in time, that very well could eliminate certain issues, but understand that energy and those nerve receptors is still going to go to another part in my body. It may not be the gallbladder, it may be the liver, it may be my digestive system. So what we're trying to get you to understand with our approach is we want to get to the root of the issue. And addressing the root of the issue is going to keep you from having medical bills on down the line, because you're able to be proactive and not always reactive in the situation. So I don't know if any of you that are on have any particular questions. I saw where Deidre earlier had commented about having issues with sciatica. And Deidre, I know with past history of trauma and things of that nature, I strongly encourage you to schedule an appointment with Johnny. I'm glad you're doing yoga. That is very beneficial. And that's kind of how me and Johnny also working together, whether he has clients that come to him first and he realizes there's some issues and things that are out of alignment, in which I may assist with the yoga part to help realignment or some of the energy work, and vice versa, clients that I can send him that are dealing with certain physical ailments and pain in their body that I understand is coming from some repressed traumas, but it's basically reconnecting the body and the mind so it can heal conjointly. And so that's how our businesses are working together to help you regain your power back and understanding what are the messages that your body is sending you. Johnny, if you want to tell them how they can find you or reach you and your contact information, I can also put it down here in the box.
Sure. My website is www.helpwellnessclt.com. So you can go to my website and
Help Wellness.
Yeah,
Oh,
CLT. Yeah.
Oh, I can't type it in.
See, I gotta do some training on the typing as well.
It's my neural processing skills.
But yes, so if you go to my website, you can also shoot me an email. My email is different actually from my website right now. It is johnny@postureneurology.com. And so you can also give me a phone call, shoot me a text message, 980-777-0806. But I do give free consultations. So if you're looking to come in and...
Look, I'm sorry. I'm looking at how my business came up with your website. See, that's divine connection right there. That is supposed to be his website. I don't know how Shakti Wellness came up with that in the box. But what's your phone number again, Johnny?
980-777-0806.
Right.
Within the free consultation, we are able to go over more so the conscious areas of pain. So there is, I tell everybody, consciousness is about 5 to 20% of everything that goes on in our body. So what's that? 95 to 80 to 95% is unconscious. And so many of the things that happen to us and are affecting us are coming from this unconscious realm that is spilling over into our conscious areas. So from that standpoint, I take people through these posture movement and neurological screens to see how their conscious areas of their brain are reacting. How is the motor, the sensory, the cerebellum, the visual, and vestibular systems reacting? And so there are different levels to your spine, the thoracic, the lumbar, the cervical, and each one of those levels have vertebral discs that have nerves that are attaching or detaching from it that connect to specific muscles. So based off of each area of the brain and the level of the spine that is affected, you are able to pinpoint a particular hip, knee, foot and ankle, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand as your main problem areas. And so once you're able to get within that standpoint to understand where these root causes are coming from, then again, that allows us to continue that process and dig more deeper into the unconscious realm.
So, and just quick, I know we were going to close out, but just in general with chronic illnesses like rheumatoid arthritis and multiple sclerosis and things of this, your services are able to also help remedy the symptoms or remedy the whole illness?
So anything you're talking about with that is just a miscommunication between the brain and spine. So a lot of these dysfunctions and disorders are just the miscommunication between the brain and spine. So I'm able to see where the energy is transferring into what specific areas, what area of the body needs the tension release. So it's not necessarily, I don't really look at what people tell me as a diagnosis is, what a doctor has told them, because that is, to me, is only a symptom, an ending symptom to something that is going on. So I hear the symptoms that you're telling me, but I'm also listening to what your body is saying from an unconscious standpoint, because that is where the keys to everything that's going on and the root causes to our problems. So any type of symptom that we have, any type of thing that a doctor has classified you as having, that is typically a group of symptoms put together to make up a name for a disorder. Mm-hmm. And so I just look at your body's neurological systems, the structure, the body alignment, and then the energy of your body guides me to specific areas. So there's never really one particular case that's the same from an unconscious standpoint. From the conscious is always, again, the right hip that translates over to the left side. So it's once we understand the body, it becomes easy to understand how everything can shift and become misaligned. So.
And this is what you call holistic health, you guys. When people say, what is holistic health? It's the understanding of how all systems work together. When we look at the complex system of our body, you know, it's so many different systems that is working together to operate and to function. So we cannot just heal our body in a fragmented way of healing, in which what normal traditional approaches to healing is one piece. Well, it's not even healing, really, when we think about what type of medical care that we get is more or less masking the symptoms. Is numbing the symptoms. So they're really making money off of us by prolonging the pain or the symptoms that we're having. So what we're wanting to offer is another remedy to eliminate that you don't have to live a life of chronic pain. A lot of times it's the medications that is causing more of the inflammation and pain that you're actually experiencing, because sometimes you never give that body a break off the medication to even know what the difference is, or if you've even healed. If you're continuously on the medication for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 years, how do you know if you have healed? And really at the end of the day, you don't really know if your root issues have been addressed. So our approaches to healing is from a holistic, and that's how we're working together, from the mind, from the body to the spirit, because it all works together. If your body is not feeling right, your mind is not feeling right. If your mind is not feeling right, guarantee your spirit is not feeling right. So we have to look at all areas to assess the best modalities. And this is just something different we're wanting to bring to the community. So we hope that you guys have gotten some vital information and support the businesses. My office, well, for those, my website is www.Shakti Wellness. You can find me also on Facebook. With many of you are in my Facebook group now, but you know how to find me, and I have Johnny's information listed up here. My office is off Moorhead, and Johnny's right around the corner on off Park Road and Woodlawn. And if anything, give us a call if you're not sure, even if you are out of town. There's still maybe some things that we can even assist you with or refer you to. with different things that says, I think even some of the work you do, are you able to do if they're not face to face?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So if that's an issue of getting here, do not count yourself out. They some of the work that I do with distant energy healing work can be done online as well. So don't let time or distance or pain be a barrier in contacting us for anything. And we hope that we will see many of you in the future. So look more from me and Johnny doing some more workshops. We really want to go into more details and addressing the trauma and some of the other topics. So if there are particular topics that you guys would like more information about, please inbox either one of us on different things that we can help. We're just wanting to provide solutions so that none of us have to go through suffering or endure it unnecessarily. And I think from there, we will all be a lot in a better place and be more peaceful. So we thank you guys and hope you guys have a happy Friday.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.